Okay folks, I'm going to do a first impressions review here on the SmokTech Groove. Real nice sturdy box. Okay, it's a pretty big size box, so these things ain't going to fit in a small priority mail shipping box. But it's nice to have this for resale or storage or whatever. Okay, it just slides apart. Okay, and then in the top it came with the instruction booklet in different languages as well as English, of course. Okay, and here is the setting, and you can pull this guy out and you'll see some venting holes there on the back. It says Smoke, S-M-O-K, with their trademark, and then it's variable wattage, variable voltage, LiPo battery, 3800 milliamp hour, input 5 volts or 1 amp, or 1 amp. Okay, everybody's seen what these look like, but as far as size goes, I'll show you guys this again. It is a pretty wide PV. If you've got long fingers, big hands, it's going to be nice and comfortable. If you've got smaller hands, maybe not quite so comfortable, but it's still going to be usable whether you have smaller or larger hands. Okay, what comes in underneath, which is right here where this sits on top of the box, underneath that is your charger. Nice quality looking charger. It's got the mini USB here, not to be confused with the micro SD. The mini USB is more of a quality connection. It's kind of like what came on the Motorola Razr. It's what's on my Canon camera, real popular, so you may not even need this cord. As you see, the USB is on the other end. Okay, and then here is the other adapter, so that you don't have to use just USB. You can plug this guy straight in here, plug it into a 120 outlet. Okay. Alright, so that's pretty cool. That's all it comes with. As far as the 3800 mAh on the battery, I have yet to charge this thing, and I've had it for what, 4 or 5 days now. I have yet to run the factory charge down on the battery, so this is why this has to be a first impression review. Reason that I haven't been using this all day, so that I can give you more information on how long the battery lasts, how long the charge takes in real time, is because of the fact that I just don't have a lot of things to put on top of this. And so it's been one of those things where I might use it the most, probably an hour to 2 hours a day. So it hasn't been put through its paces yet, and hence first impressions. Okay, so excuse me. Sorry about that. Anyway, so the display, first thing that I noticed is that it's not a really bright display. It doesn't stand out like, say, the Sigelli Z Max, the SmokTech Z Max, the Provari. It's not very prominent. Okay, it doesn't come light up and pop out at you, and I'll show you. Okay, it's more of a tinted, and I think that that's well balanced to the PV. It's a dark, mysterious looking PV, and the display doesn't take away anything from that. It adds to it, so that's pretty cool. Alright, and this is variable wattage, so how you get it to variable wattage is you just push these two buttons at the same time until you see it go to either voltage or wattage. Okay, right there it's set at voltage, and then back to wattage. Okay, real easy to actually set the voltage or the wattage. The very first click will start to adjust for you. Okay, it does round robin, which is pretty cool. Everybody likes that. It's nice, say if you wanted to get down to 5 watts real fast, and you're already at 12. All you gotta do is go up and let it round robin, and it's auto scroll. Well, I thought it was auto scroll. I'm sorry, it doesn't auto scroll. You got to push it every time. Okay, then it round robins back down to 3. So that's a quick way to get where you need to be. Okay. If you want to check the battery voltage, push and hold the positive, and that's why it doesn't auto scroll. I'm sorry, not the battery voltage, it's the resistance. Right now it reads 9.9 because I don't have anything on top of it. Okay, so now I'm going to push and hold the bottom, and that's going to tell me my battery voltage. I've got 3.6 volts in here still. Okay, so that tells me that pretty soon I'm going to need to charge this thing. The button right here, the activation button, is right up top. It's nice and clicky. And even without anything on there, it tells you your set voltage when you're pushing the button, which is nice. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and get into the downsides of this PV as far as negatives go. One thing that I use on my Ego type of batteries are things like the CE4, because I like the way they perform on those. Okay. Well, let me show you what happens here. You've got a juice well in there. Okay. Nice to have a juice well. Everything needs to have a juice well, but you really have to jack this thing to get that CE4 down in there, and when it's down in there, you cannot tighten it. And it's just kind of like you're stripping a screw or a bolt. It's just, it makes me nervous, so I don't use that like that. What I have to use is, excuse me, is an Ego adapter. I'm just fumbling all over this review. I'm sorry about that, guys. Is that adapter which makes the skirt stick straight out, which, I mean, it's not the best, okay, because it would be down in there about a ½ an inch further, and it would be more stealthy. I mean, this thing's big enough as it is from the get-go. Alright. So that's one of the negatives. I've got another CE something here. I believe it's a CE5, and it does have the skirt on it, and it fits down in there just fine. Okay. Alright. So some things are going to work, some things aren't. What else do I have that I use with this? The VV Nova 2.5 is what I normally will use this with. Okay. And that works pretty good that way too. If you've ever had the VV gripper, you're gonna have a little bit of things about the groove that you like, that they have retained some of the good things about it, and they have dumped some of the bad things about it. But reverse that role and you have the same exact thing. There's some things that are negative about this that you didn't have with the VV gripper. For one, the rubberized coating on the VV gripper I liked a whole lot more, because this thing here is a fingerprint magnet. Okay, it's not good at all. I mean, the finish, it's nice and it's really slick, but it doesn't fall out of your hand easily because it's got these recessed areas here in the sides. Okay, so fingerprint magnets, sometimes things don't fit in there. When you do have a leak, something leaks down in that drip well, you can't fit a Q-tip down in there. It's impossible. I mean, so just forget about it. You're not going to get a Q-tip down in there at all. Okay, it's not going to go. At most, the stick from the Q-tip will go down in there. So what does that tell you? That tells you that you're going to be doing a lot of this if you have some leaking issues. Oh man. Shove it down in there, maybe. Twist it around in there. I mean, come on. That's really quite an annoyance. And again, another reason why I probably don't use this as much as I should. But all in all, I have to say, the battery life, no worried about a bunk battery door. The VV gripper, every single battery door on those PVs is going to go bad. Okay, the rubberized coating was great. The actual use of a 18650 was cool. The electronics were awesome. I mean, they were really good. I would say better than the Sigelli Z-Max electronics on just the VV gripper, and luckily that seems to have transferred over with the Groove. The electronics in this thing, that you have more options because of the fact that you can use variable wattage. Alright, so the retention, and I'll be honest with you, I don't know exactly what it is. Cleaner electronics, the way things flow through the wire from out of a circuit board, that has to have something to do with it, okay? But it's enough to notice a difference when you're vaping something like a Sigelli Z-Max and you're going, well, what the heck, I can't figure out what the sweet spot is. I mean, so you just have to settle for something subpar. But with this, the way the VV gripper was, even the Sigelli V8, which was really good, you can tell obvious differences in those, and that is instituted here in the Groove. Really nice electronics. Okay, so take that all as you will. There is some positives, there is some obvious negatives. However, it is a nice device. If you worry about battery voltage, I mean, you're not going to have to worry too much with this. Okay, you're going to probably get 2, maybe even 3 solid days of vape time out of this. And I'm trying to find what I just did with the charge cord so that I can actually hook it up for the first time and verify that this thing can actually be vaped while you're charging it. Okay, I might as well go ahead and give it a full charge. So let me plug it in here. Alright, plug it in here and plug it in there. Nice and easy to plug in, slides right in there. That's telling you that you're charging. Okay, really cool, I like that. First time I saw it. Okay, so I wonder if you, when you get up to, well, actually now it's shut off, so it just gives you that little bit of a show. It would be nice if it actually showed you where you were at in your charging status. So like, say that battery stops skipping all the way down to the bottom and it starts skipping maybe say at the middle, and then you know you're at least halfway full, which would be a little bit better than just wondering, hey, is that huge almost 4,000 mAh battery almost done yet? I mean, so what I'm going to do is just time it. Right now it's 6:10 p.m. on Sunday. I'm going to see how long it takes for this thing to charge, because as I showed you earlier, it was pretty darn close from being empty anyway. So we'll see how long it charges. And where's that Nova tank at? Just verify that. Okay, I hit the button and the battery thing came up. Bummer, dudes. It's not doing anything but showing me the battery. I'm almost certain that the rep told me that this thing charged while, or you could vape this while it was on the charger. Which would make plenty of sense, because it essentially works like a pass-through powered by the battery. But nothing. Okay, so there you go. There's another negative for you. Take that as you will. that is a major downside to me, and I'll tell you why. Is because if this was all you had, you're going to damage the battery eventually. It's going to take a toll, no matter how big or small that toll is, from unplugging it and plugging it back in constantly. So essentially it's kind of like the Ego. I mean, that is not a pass-through. Everybody's familiar with the Ego. You put it on the charger and you're waiting. So then you want to have two, so that when one's charging, you have another one to use. I don't want to buy two of these so that I don't have to worry about the charge, and God only knows at this point how long this thing's going to take to charge. Am I going to be able to put it on there and 15 minutes later it's full and it's ready to go, and I have waited patiently 15 minutes to vape? I'm sorry, but if this is all I had 3-4 hours in, I'm going to be like chomping at the bit to get a vape. Okay, so major thumbs down on that. Okay, guys. Alright, thanks for watching. One other thing that I wanted to tell you guys about this, and now it's on the charger so I can't actually show you, is the thickness of this. Okay, it's got a flat bottom, but it's also got a seam down there, so that means that it doesn't sit really nice and flat when you set it down. Another issue with that seam down there, and the fact that this isn't very wide, is that it's going to want to fall over on you. Okay, this thing loves to fall over. It doesn't like sitting up straight. I'm going to tell you, if you've seen P. Basardo's rant on the Sigelli V8, the Sigelli V8 doesn't have a flat bottom, and so with this very tank on there, it's set like this. Okay, and any little movement, it would fall over. Okay. And I was kind of worried about that with this, but I thought, well, hey, it's probably just one of my eyes playing tricks on me, because that's all I'd seen was a picture. But after having it now, this thing will fall over quicker than the Sigelli V8 will. So every time that I set this thing down, I set it down like this to where it's leaning on something, or I set it down like this so that it's nice and flat. It's not going to fall that way, obviously. With something like the VV Nova, it does kind of jack the connector a little bit, setting it down, because it sticks out enough that it's going to be putting some stress on the connector. Okay, so that's going to give you a little bit better idea also of just what you're dealing with as far as the width of this thing. Okay, it's almost exact, but it's not quite. Okay, so that's another downfall to it. What I would like to see, and I have sent off an email to the rep, is I would like to see them make something that looks like a PlayStation 2 stand. You know, those stands that they had where the PlayStation would stand beside the TV and it would be standing up long ways. Okay, and it had those little dips that went down on each side. Okay, and those dips, this would sit right in the center of that. They can even have their logo on the front of it. And since that's something that I think would be beneficial, it would be even more beneficial to use that kind of a stand and put this connector over here on the bottom, or over here on this side. Okay, and then what you could then do is you could just set this thing down on there, and you can have a charger. Okay, you can have a charger and a stand in one. There won't be no need for this guy right here, especially seeing as how this thing is not a pass-through. Okay, so when you're on a charger, you're on a charger anyway. So give me something that I can use with a stand. Maybe the battery connector, instead of being up here, could be back here on the bottom area, so that they could just have a little piece coming up where you just push it in, and then you've got a nice sturdy stand. This way, if it's not charging, you could just have it forward just a little bit, and then you would still have the stand there, and you wouldn't have to charge it when you had it on the stand. Another thing is, can't wait for a lanyard to come out for this. this thing needs a lanyard really bad. It doesn't matter that this is nice and pocket friendly if you got something sticking off of the top of it. That's a weak link in that. So if you found some, as soon as they come out with a lanyard for this, it's mine. Okay, if it doesn't have a lanyard, I mean, I'm really picky, I guess, but there's a lot of things that I think should be happening in the electronic cigarette world that are not. I mean, this kind of stuff, it took me all of about 20 minutes, 10 minutes of using this to see the value of actually making it a usable device, a usable, friendly device that you're going to like and you're going to want to keep. Instead, we get all these broken up little pieces of something that we like about it, something that we hate about it. Why is it so hard to just put a little bit of common sense in with it and make something where somebody just likes it? I mean, shouldn't be that hard. I mean, anybody at the factory that was designing this could have used this for 30 seconds, set it down for the first time, had it fall over, and realized, hey, that's not cool. We got to do something about that. I think what they did do about that is they put these little tiny rubber cork things right here on the bottom, and I doubt I can get that to actually show. Okay, but what's funny about that is that this one here doesn't stick out. This one here sticks out a little bit. This one up here sticks out a little bit, and this one up here don't stick out at all. So it's like, I mean, it just right here and here, this thing sets down and it moves around like that. So I mean, come on. So that's probably their idea of fixing that, but I mean, maybe we need to wait for another year or two. I don't know, for the Chinese to come out with something that everything is great. I mean, a lot of things people can live with, a lot of things people can't live with. I guess that's one of the benefits of having reviews out there. So hopefully I've been helpful. Thanks for watching. Okay, I keep forgetting things on this. There's a lot to cover on the groove, a lot of differences and stuff. But anyway, so one of the positives I left out, which is important, is the fact that most variable voltage, variable wattage devices are only 1.2 ohms stable. I was messing with some Genesis atomizers. I had one that was 1 ohm, and I put it on the groove and it vaped just fine. So then after reading the book on the groove, it shows on there that it is in fact 1 ohm stable. So that wasn't a mistake. That is the way that it's designed. So that is a positive. It is getting better. They are integrating things into some of these PVs that we like. It would still be nice if it was half of an ohm stable, because I mean it's nice. That's basically what I vape with, but whenever I vape at half an ohm, I've got to do that with this, okay, which is 0 electronics. Alright, so you know, take that as you will. It's an improvement. Okay, thanks for watching.